Hey everybody, it's Kat, and I want to welcome you back to the Mom's Adventure Paradox podcast. This is not a live stream, believe it or not. I am actually recording this one offline. It is story of the day. It's going to be a March minisode, and it's a reflection on my trip recently to Italy, where our leader, remember, I committed to this trip 9 months ago. She asked us on the first night, five of us women had committed to this trip. What are you hoping to get out of this week? What is your ski goal? She asked us to pick two. And then what is a goal outside of skiing that you have for yourself for this week? And one of my goals outside of skiing for the week was to find a story of the day each day, to be open to what the story of the day was. So I found myself receptive to the many stories that were taking place in this adventure of skiing, both in and out of bounds in the Dolomites, and then boiling it down to what was the one that I'm probably going to tell over and over, or think about, or continue to process, and why. So I'm going to start with the first story of the day, which, on that first day, there's so much energy. You don't really know what's going to happen. Again, 9 months in the making. We've all been preparing for this with our excitement, our enthusiasm, the booking of tickets, and whatever we did right before the trip. A few women spent days in Venice. I had spent the week in Cortina with my husband. So we're transitioning out of whatever experience led right up to day one. We had the dinner the night before, and now we're heading out. We're going up the tram, and Crystal Wright, love you, girl, was our fearless leader. And she's been leading these trips, I think, for 8 years, 4 or 8 years. Anyway, she's been leading trips to Europe for skiers, specifically for women. And she has this special sauce of taking out glitter and putting it on your cheek and blessing you with some words for the day. That happened every day. So that just sort of sets the framework for these stories of the day. We are definitely working with Crystal. Crystal is creating this framework for us. She does that. And then we're following her and this Italian guide, Albie, through all of these European ski runs, which are a little bit different from American ski runs because the off-piste, which is the non-groomed area, which is also considered in some cases out of bounds, is right next to the groomed area. There's just sort of a bump, and suddenly you're in this ungroomed area right next to the groomer. So you have to really learn to focus, to stay on the road as you're going from place to place, because off-piste isn't always so easy to ski, especially if you're with a group and you're trying to keep up and they're skiing pretty fast on these groomers. So Crystal and Albie knew where to go. And so this group is like, getting there, getting there. And then we take this tram that has 3 stops all the way to the top of the mountain. It's the very highest point. And from there, we are going to ski out onto Marmolada, which is a glacier. I knew we were going to do this one day. I didn't know it would be the first day. I was really, really excited about it. And there was a lot of adrenaline, so much adrenaline. And so we headed out into this and we're all excited and we've got our sparkles on. We've been blessed with feisty or fierce or, whatever it is that Crystal has put upon us to have a framework and a vision, to have confidence for these turns, for this experience. And one gal was renting a pair of skis because she didn't own backcountry skis. And it was her first time really skiing in the backcountry, although she's a really proficient skier. And she kept kind of falling. And so we're slowing down for that. And for all of us, we were a little rusty and we're forming as a group. So something that I shared that day, I learned working with an outward bound guide who I used to co-lead trips with. And it was this idea that first a group will form, they'll like come together. Then they'll norm, they'll normalize. You kind of find this is the person we're waiting for. This is the one who's always up ahead. This is the one who can't stop talking. This is the one who keeps taking lots of pictures. That was me, by the way, and videos. Everyone kind of has their role. And then you storm. And it's only when the storm takes place, something happens, that you perform. So the real storm, there was a very, very strong skier, and she hurt herself. She hurt her knee, And it was kind of in a weird spot. It wasn't like a big, crash or anything. It was sort of in between a few falls. She was talking about her knee really hurting. And I don't know this person very well, but a pretty good read that this person was a boss. She was really strong and she was trying not to show how hurt she was because here we were in the backcountry. And again, in Europe, how does that work? Is it a helicopter? What's going to happen? So she kept skiing, but she was in so much pain. And the story of the day is that she continued to ski all the way out through this really unique Russian road that was this very steep road built into the side of a mountain during the war that we were skiing down. And there was so little snow. There were places where you could only ski on a foot or foot and a half or 2 feet of snow in front of you, and then it was rocks and maybe a cliff on either side. So it was really high stakes and high consequences. In a few places, we had to take our skis off and carry them. And I just had so much empathy for this gal who was so hurt on the very first day, and for her friend who had decided to go with her, and just this whole experience, and that she skied out of it. That was the story of the day, number one. Number two, second day. There was a gal who was celebrating her birthday, and sure enough, three of us went out the second day. The gal who was injured and the gal who was her friend decided to take the day off. And the three of us went to ski a couloir for this gal's birthday. Why? Because she wanted to ski a couloir in Italy for her birthday. And so we did it in sparkles. I literally wore a sparkle skirt. You can see all of this online. If you can't find it and you want to see the pictures, just email my team, theadventureparadox@gmail.com. But I skied my first couloir in Europe in a sparkle skirt on somebody's birthday to help them celebrate. And that, by far, was totally story of the day number two. Super, super fun. Story of the day number three. We had four of us again. The injured gal still wasn't ready to hit the slopes again, but her friend decided to come back. And we were skiing and she wasn't sure she was quite ready. We kind of readjusted things so that she'd feel comfortable and safe. And there was this other gal who was often my ski buddy. We would partner up and we would do different drills together. So we would shadow each other, and she was a really beautiful skier. And as we're skiing along, she's like, we're skinning actually, which is when you're going up the mountain with what's called a skin on the bottom of your ski, which is originally from seal skins, but it helps you stick on the snow to be able to have those skis actually go up the mountain. So we're going up the mountain, up the mountain, up the mountain. And she's like, at the very top, she's like, I feel like I have like a rock in my boot. I gotta stop and take it off and see. And I was kind of thinking like a rock, like, yeah, I don't really usually get rocks in our boots and ski season, but who knows? I don't know. I'm not the guide. I don't really have to think about this. But sure enough, she takes her boot off and she has, I kid you not, a silver dollar sized blister. This huge blister. And sure enough, she skied the rest of the day on that thing with no complaint. She also introduced me to a really cool blister gauze, by the way. And she went on to ski 2 more days after that. So that was for sure story of the day number three. Now, story of the day number four was definitely this experience of all of us heading out to have an overnight hut trip at this place called Laguazoi, which is this hut with a sauna and really beautiful bedrooms and dinners included. And you're literally on the top of a mountain where a tram ends, and you're going to get first tracks of the day the next morning. And this was one of the things I was most excited about for this trip. And the friend of the injured gal was not sure she wanted to continue. Her husband had come and met up with us for a night and they were all going to continue on to Venice. And she was like, I'm just not sure this is what I signed up for. So, number four story of the day was that she worked through her fear and she got back on those skis, even though a part of her was still struggling with whether or not she wanted to continue. She made it all the way up to Laguazori. She got to have really special time with her friend who came back from her injury. Are you ready for story of the day number five? And skied again the next day. So, those are my stories of the day from a 5-day trip. And my invitation to you, if you're traveling this month, to think about a story of the day. Or if you're not traveling and you're busy with work, what is your work story of the day? What is a story that you find yourself telling over and over again that's really, really important to you? And maybe you don't even know how important it is, except that you keep telling it. And also, is it a good story or is it a bad story? How are you spinning that story to come back around to be the hero in your own narrative? Are you showing up for yourself? Or is someone else telling your story? What story are you telling yourself? Be it in work, be it as a wife, be it as a mother, be it as a person traveling. I want to hear what your story is. So you can reach out to me. It's a great segue into learning how to podcast, by the way, but send me a voice note. If you have a podcast, I have a very special summit coming up for podcasters only, and I would love to hear from you if you want to apply and be part of this really fun summit we're doing in April. It involves some humor, by the way, because everybody needs a little humor. How about a joke? Anybody want a joke? All right, story of the day, joke of the day. Okay, keep coming back. I hope you have a great Monday. Thank you for listening to this mini-sode, and we will see you later. Ciao. Oh, if you liked this, please share it with a friend. That helps us with our reviews. Follow along. Reviews help other people find the podcast. So if you haven't left a review in a while, we would really appreciate that. If you send us a screenshot of the review, we will send you a free gift. So theadventureparadox@gmail.com. Standing by, and have a beautiful, beautiful day. Thanks for listening, and find yourself a story of the day. Cheers.